Well, looky who jumped into the live stream. Yes. Well, I'm here because this is my live stream. My name is Sean Shapiro. I am a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, and I'm glad that you're here. This is a show for you. It's all about answering your traffic and police questions, which is what I do 5 days a week now. What started as a part-time fun thing to do has turned into a full-time gig. Yeah, I do this 3 times a week, 10 a.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then 9 p.m. for a little after dark on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And on those special shows, I'm joined by Logan Grant. He is a sergeant with Brooks, Alberta, the city of Brooks in Alberta. He is a special guy. He does traffic enforcement there and runs a team of municipal enforcement officers. He's awesome. He's a lot of fun to chat with. And we did that for 3 hours last night. And I said after doing it for 3 hours the week before, I would never do 3-hour episodes again. But looky. That's exactly what I did. Today we've got our YouTube up and running properly with no errors. Thank you very much to both YouTube and Restream. I don't know what you did, but I'm happy that you did it. We're on Instagram. Good morning to everyone there. Alsafar says good morning. And then good morning to Jane, who popped in there. We are doing this thing that we do every day, and it's answering your traffic and police questions. And of course, I have been hard at work recording this magical book. Oh, yes. The magical Ontario Driver's Handbook is going through the paces. I am narrating it. Is that what it is? You're a book narrator. I'm reading the book so you can listen to it. I'm commenting on it, explaining things that come up that need explaining. And if you want to be part of that, go to YouTube. VoiceOver Cop is the channel. And I haven't posted anything there yet. I'm going to put a placeholder there so you can actually follow the thing. I'll also mark it as a podcast because YouTube is now the largest podcasting platform on the planet. In addition to that, all of my live streams, except for one that last week that aired out and I couldn't get it to upload, go onto podcasting platforms so you can synchronize and download on the go without having to worry about burning data or breaking the law. It's a thing. In the meantime, I need to vent. I asked Suno, I'm having way too much fun with Suno again, asked Suno to write me a song that will allow me to vent about the stuff I see on the road. Have a listen.
Brake lights flashing like a neon parade. Left lane hoggers make the fast lane a charade. Scrolling their phones at a green light delay. I'm stuck behind clowns who can't steer straight. Speed demons flying like they're late to the stars. Tailgaters so close they could hitch my car. Swerving like dancers, drunk on their own lane. Each mile is chaos driving me insane. Don't make me honk, I'm losing my cool. The road's a circus and I'm playing the fool. Signaling's a myth, they're all renegades. On these streets, it's just a mad cavalcade.
I'm putting that onto I'm putting that onto a playlist, and I'll share it in the show notes. I've got a whole bunch of songs that I've been making using Suno, and I like it. Did that work? Did everyone hear the song? Because it has happened in the past where I have said, this is a great song, bopping along, and no one's heard it. So please let me know if you actually heard that. I would like to know. I appreciate the feedback. Okay. Omi is in the chat on the live stream here on TikTok and says, what's up with passing plows on Highway 11? Is it legal if the blade isn't in the left or on the left lane? So here's the deal. You can pass a plow. It's dangerous. Be careful. If it's a solo plow working, and you can do so safely, if it's it only becomes a Highway Traffic Act issue if it's careless driving or dangerous maneuver, or, because that would be in any situation. But specifically when they are operating in, what the heck's the word for it now? If it is in, the word just escaped me. It disappeared from my vocabulary for the moment. I want to say it starts with an echelon. There it is. If they're operating an echelon, which means two or more are staggered, what they're doing is that they are they're basically taking snow from lane 1, putting it to lane 2. Lane 2 is then dumping it to lane 3, and so on until it's off the road. It's a way to clear the road most safely and quickly. So if you pass them when any portion of their vehicle or blade is in your lane, it is against the law, and there's a charge for it. Okay. I got to say that last night was a lot of fun. Not only is Logan fun to hang out with, despite the fact that he has no light on his face because his light wasn't working. We have to get him a new light. But he just brings a totally different perspective. He's got that cowboy vibe because that's what's happening over there in Alberta. He's from Alberta, and they have different laws there. And they like people complain about getting tickets here, and they get dinged with a fine. And then when people find out how much that fine is in Alberta, suddenly we're the discount province. Yes, we have the lowest fines at the moment for speeding and stop sign. Like we need to massively increase the consequences, but we have way more serious fines and consequences for stunt driving and distracted driving. So I guess in the really important stuff, we're winning, which means violators are losing, and that's a good combination. If you've got questions, I've got answers. Throw them into the content into the platform that you're on, wherever you are. Please follow, like, subscribe, share, whatever the keyword is for that platform. I appreciate it. If you're on TikTok in particular, please tap the screen until your fingers go numb. Let's see here. We've got. We have, Omni says, I thought they passed a new law in 2023, but that was for specifically for the echelon, passing them in echelon. Cool. Tank 44, what's going on? I remember you from the auto show. They said obstructing. What's obstructing? The plow's obstructing? Who's obstructing? Tell me more. One word leaves me in a riddle situation where I don't know what you're talking about. You're very welcome, Mommy. And then Bernhard says, late nights and early mornings, a vegan-free stream. Yes, last night we played a song because we created a song using Suno. We can do that today too. I could totally have fun with that. We played a song, and I have it here. It was the Alberta Beef Blues. And we were just having fun. And it was an audience-driven decision to make this song with these lyrics.
Born 'neath the Rockies, where the air is clean. Grilling Alberta beef is life serene.
It was funny. It was fun. I'll share the playlist in a moment. Can I ask you one question? Is the question that Shake asks, but then didn't ask the question. So, of course, the whole idea of the show is that you ask questions. So, by all means, throw your questions in, whether it's about traffic safety, traffic law, police stuff in general, employment things. We'll talk about. Actually, I haven't checked the Toronto Police website recently to see what postings are there. So, we'll do that in a little bit. If you want to be a member of the Toronto Police Service, this is a great time to apply. They are looking for good people who want to serve their community and do that with pride and distinction. So, we'll do that in just a sec. Garbo says, hi, Sean. Hello, Garbo. We should have PEO Aaron back. That's Tank who says that. And yes, I agree. In fact, I was talking to Aaron about it on Monday night. We were at the Rovers Investation. I can't remember the name. It's like a graduation or I don't know what it is. It was amazing. There, saw the chief there, saw so many of my friends, and it was fantastic. So Aaron and I were discussing the concept of having Aaron on the show, and she just needs to get the approval because now that I'm no longer a member of the service, I'm an outside agency. They got to come out and make sure they got cleared. Bernhard has a dad joke for later. Let me just copy and paste it in here. LJ says, morning, Sean, sounded awesome. Okay, I'm glad you heard the music. Okay, we got, so I go down the rabbit hole. In fact, I go down, let me see if I can get that graphic over. Stand by. So Kayla and I have been trying to figure out when to do lunch because we do that now and again. And he said, I got something for you. I got a badge. And he said, the badge is from Adam Savage, or it's an Adam Savage, I guess, creation thing. And it's all about something I do all the time. And he sent me a picture of it this morning. I think it was this morning. Maybe it was last night. Anyway, I saw it this morning. I am sharing it from one computer to the next so I can share it on screen. Let's do this. Let's do this. Media. Here we go. Loading. Wait, there's no way to do. Come on. There's an easier way to do this. I know there is. I just know there is. I'll do it this way. Button press and switchy do, and here we go. Drag and drop. This might get really big. It's not, it didn't get huge, but it's certainly bigger than I thought it was going to be. And it's kind of covering my face. Okay. So that's the rabbit hole badge. And boy, is it appropriate for my life. Yes. I think that's great. I think, in fact, I might make this the icon that we put up as we go down the rabbit hole, the new official badge for the show. Can we? So are these available retail? Wherever they are, they need to be part of my life. Okay. On with other stuff and things. So I was down the rabbit hole, and I've got a new rabbit hole to go down, and that was talking to a friend from the police who sent me a message this morning talking about electric vehicles, and is it possible that vehicles like Tesla or anything with regenerative braking could be working to slow us down on the road? Is it possible, because they're constantly slowing down whenever you let the foot off the gas, is it possible that they're causing other drivers to unnecessarily slow down, thus slow everybody down? Because they were making comments about the fact that they historically would be able to cruise without issue for their entire drive without ever needing to touch the brakes. But as a result of the magic of Tesla and regenerative braking, that they now find themselves constantly having to slow down when behind one of them people. Interesting. What do you think? Let me know. Paul had earlier jumped in and said, what did he say? He said this. Good morning, Sean. After Dark was awesome. I thought it was awesome too. I had a lot of fun. I really have a lot of fun. And if you're around, if you're capable, if you're available at 9 p.m. on Tuesdays and Tuesdays and Thursdays, at 9 p.m. Eastern time, we go on, we do that thing. It's so much fun. Friday, by the way, if you're going to be available, if you're around Friday at 10:35, I'll already be live, but I'll be joined by Jerry Yeager on News Talk 1010. We're going to take the Ask a Traffic Cop thing and go on the radio. I was also asked to join another radio show tomorrow. We'll see if we can make that happen. Okay. Tank said, you were the police officer. I was the police officer. Okay. Garbo88 says, speed enforcement camera. What is the threshold over the limit before the camera snaps a picture? Well, to be quite honest, they don't tell anybody. And I have come to the conclusion that it is about 10% of the posted limit, because every jurisdiction sets their own threshold. And I've heard of people getting tickets for only a few over, but I think that those are in 30-kilometer-an-hour zones. And if you look at some of my recent videos, one chap was losing his mind because he got a ticket for doing 11 over and thought that was totally inappropriate. He was doing 41 and a 30, which is shocking because that's speeding. It's in a community safety zone, and if you get a charge for speeding in a community safety zone, I don't really feel sorry for you. I don't feel sorry for people who get caught speeding because they're speeding. Honda Mig says, Sean, great to see you alive again. And TPS Kelly Skinner, good morning to you. We've got, let's see here. Sheikh is already a police officer in his country. He's an international law enforcement player. Awesome. Is it possible to apply in Canada if you're a police officer from Pakistan? So, funny you should say that. One of the requirements, or one of the options for becoming a police officer in Canada, is to be either a permanent resident or a citizen. So whereas in the United States, majority of U.S. states require citizenship before you can serve as a police officer, Canada's pretty awesome and allows permanent residents to serve their communities. So I don't think you could apply as a police officer. You'd have to be able to legally work, and you could work without a PR status in Canada at a police service, but not as a police officer until such time as you got your PR status, permanent resident status. Excellent question. I don't think we've talked about it, but you know what? Here's what we can do. We can open up the very magical website of the Toronto Police and look at careers. Let me pull that up for you. So www.tps.ca/careers will bring you up to this page. Let me bring that, make it bigger, making it bigger. There we go. All the way. I can go. There we go. So www.tps.ca/careers. brings you to this page where you get information about all the different positions available. Obviously, police constable gets its own section. You can apply online. Everything you need to know. I shouldn't say everything. The basics of what you need to know are available here. I can make that bigger. Can't I make it bigger? I don't want to make the text bigger. How? What? They limited the. I can't. No. Every other website I can make the size I want it to be. But no, this has got limitations. Okay, anyway, I will not harp on this. I don't need any more rabbit holes in my life. But here are the requirements. But that doesn't mean you should stop there. You should go through the entire website, learn everything there is to know about the police service that you want to serve at. It's important stuff. Now, there are positions for special constable, which is how I started with the service. Well, technically, I started as an auxiliary officer volunteering, but I had so much fun that I also took the role or applied and achieved the court officer status, which was a special constable before special constable was a thing on its own. Now they have broader responsibilities. Parking enforcement officer. Hey, that's Aaron. That's a fantastic job that I applied for. I was talking about this on Monday night at the Rover event. I applied but didn't get it. I was already a court officer, and I had my motorcycle designation because I was an auxiliary that rode motorcycles. So I figured, okay, being a parking officer out in the city outside of the cell block, this could be cool. So I applied. And here's an important thing. You got to learn to follow directions. And I didn't. One of the tests or requirements was to take a completed parking ticket, on a printed copy of a parking ticket, and transfer all the information from the parking ticket onto a fresh parking ticket. Not a difficult test, and yet I seem to have failed. And why? Because I already had my own badge number, and I automatically put my badge number in place of the badge number section as opposed to the badge number that was on the original. At least that's my belief as to why they rejected me. Whatever. You know what? It all worked out in the end. Let's see here. Communications operator. These are the magical people who answer the telephone and dispatch police officers to help you when you need help. When you call 911, that's who answers. So all the information you have there. Let's look at a listing now. Oh, and auxiliary officer. That's how I started. That's a great way. Lateral hires for people who work for other police services who want to come join our service. But let's go into the civilian roles section because that's what's always changing. Temporary administrative clerk. That is talent. Okay, Toronto Police Headquarters is the location, but this is where you're filling in for somebody who's on leave for one reason or another, or there's they don't have a permanent position available yet. It's a great way to start with the service. That's how my wife started with the service. Volunteer chaplaincy is pretty much what it sounds like. It's someone who comes in. Let's say the requirements say, and the verbiage is better from there. 3 to 5 years working as a chaplain in a similar setting. Religious organization. There you go. So we've got priests, we've got imams, we've got rabbis, and they come and help people through difficult times in their lives and officiate at events and do all sorts of things. But it's a great way to serve if you are someone who is in that role. Parking enforcement officer, we talked about that. Currently positions open. You can't apply for parking all the time. There has to be an opening. And this one is posted, but ends. When does it end? Monday, March 31st. That's coming up. If you think you might want to apply, you should really apply. Like, don't waste time. Intermediate technical analyst at repair services. I wonder if that's radio. Yeah, infrastructure radio. In any case, great jobs. You don't have to wear a uniform to serve your community. You can help the police service do what it needs to do so they can serve the community. You're part of the machine. Communications operator position is open. That's cool. This changes all the time. If you're at all interested in becoming a member of a police service, you should check this on the regular. Just saying. Okay. Back to talking about stuff and things that are not employment related. Although if you have questions, by all means, ask away. Happy to always talk about this stuff. It's important stuff. We need good people. Okay. I see we've got lots of things here. Official brush says 2 lanes intersect with 2 lanes. Who has the right of way? Person turning right or left. Generally speaking, if you're crossing over oncoming traffic, you do not have the right of way. You have to make sure that you can complete that safely. Now, if the person is turning if you are oncoming, this is where I got to bookmark the page in this book because there's graphics that describe this very question. The book is good. It's available free online. I'm doing the course to offer it free to everybody in video format, but of course you can buy the book for $15 at most bookstores, Shoppers Drug Mart, Canadian Tire. Anyway, what else? If you're turning right, you have to make sure you can do it safely, but you have priority over the person who's crossing a live lane of traffic, which would be the left turn person. Does that make sense? Is that what you're talking about? If it's not what you're talking about, please ask again in a different way, but I think that's where you're going. Okay, Bernhard22 says, can green vehicles use carpool lane with only one person or still need two? This is depending on what you call a carpool lane. If you're talking about the provincial HOV lanes, the 400 series highways and such, those accept green plated vehicles, the sign says so, as solo occupants. You can use the vehicle if you have a Tesla, but when I say Tesla, not including the Cybertruck, which does not qualify for green plates in the province of Ontario. Don't know why. I think it's based on gross vehicle weights. Too heavy. In any case, if you're on a motorcycle or if you're on a plug-in hybrid that qualified for the green plates, and here's a weird thing: if you got custom plates, you don't qualify for green plates, thus you don't have the ticket to ride solo in the HOV lanes. Now, back it up for a second. You said carpool lanes, which sometimes include diamond multi-use lanes in cities, in municipalities. They put up a sign that says bus, taxi. They have a picture with 3 people, not 2 people. And those do not necessarily accept green-plated vehicles. In fact, they don't even accept motorcycles unless it's specifically signed. So it's important to read the sign so that you're not in violation. And don't get charged for something you didn't realize you were breaking rules in regards to. Brody Crampton says, what does this ticket mean? Fail to ensure performance standards are met. Interesting. I've never looked that one up. So guess what? We're going to read it. We're going to read it. We're going to investigate live right here. I'm learning something new. We're going to write something down. We're going to make a note of this. This is a day to celebrate. Now, first of all, are you in Ontario? Because that, maybe just fail. Fail to ensure performance standards are met. Here, found it. 107 sub 3 of the Highway Traffic Act. Failed to ensure performance standards are met. Set fine $310. Total payable $390 when you factor in the victim fine surcharge. And it says every operator shall ensure that the commercial motor vehicle operated by the operator on a highway and the vehicles drawn by such commercial motor vehicles meet the prescribed performance standards. Now, I don't know what the performance standards are. I'm not a commercial motor vehicle specialist or guru. However, it's a commercial motor vehicle charge relating to your cab and trailer or any other combination thereof. Interesting. I done learned something. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm going to make some notes here because I need to read up on 107 sub 3. 107 sub 3 CVSA. And maybe, actually, not just maybe, there's been a lot of requests for commercial motor vehicle information. And I do happen to know a number of people who are CVSA certified inspectors, one who just retired. And maybe we'll go pick his brain. Maybe he will agree to join the show now that he's no longer a police officer. I don't know. I can only ask, and I will. Now, what do we got here? We got questions that have come through. So we're if you're watching and you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. It says so on the screen, so you know it's true. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. I used to be a police officer in the city of Toronto, and I have since left policing to do a bunch of things, one of which is the launch of a not-for-profit organization called Better Traffic. And Better Traffic is what's hosting what we're doing. And they are not-for-profit. And we've got sponsors like Diamond and Diamond and Barrett Legal doing cool things. And Barrett Legal, very cool thing about Barrett Legal, not an advert, but I noticed on LinkedIn that Dale Barrett, the principal lawyer there, put a promotion up saying they're going to be raffling, I guess based on referrals, they're going to raffle an electric car. And I don't even remember what kind it was, but yeah, if you check them out on LinkedIn, you can find out about referring business and possibly win. It's a 4-year lease of a car. So they're not giving you the car, they're leasing it to you for 4 years or paying the lease. Anyway, whatever it is, it's a pretty cool concept. I've never heard of anybody giving away a car for referrals of business. Pretty cool. Other things to talk about shortly when I stop talking about answers to questions on screen is a promotion, or it's not a promotion. Would you like to win $100,000? It's a study that is being done with 2 organizations that I'm talking to. Well, one that is TIRF, the Traffic Injury Research Foundation. They've partnered with a company that has basically got a telematics app. Telematics being you put the app in your phone, it tracks how you drive, how you accelerate, and so on, the amount of kilometers you do. But instead of reporting it to your insurance company, which is how you normally hear about these apps, this time they're just gathering anonymous data so that they can figure out where collisions are going to occur based on driving patterns, what Canadians are doing, what are the areas that we need to address more. You know how I talk about don't speed, don't do silly things, be careful and mindful of certain intersections and types of driving, things that lead to serious injury and death. Yeah, they're actually going to figure out the secret behind it all, like what is really happening. Because everyone says speeding doesn't kill people; it is the sudden stop. Okay, that's great, but they're going to be able to tell us and help predict problem areas more accurately, I think, than ever before. I'm really excited about it, and I will be sharing information on the next couple of months because it's going right now. It's already started. And I'll bet you, if we go to Turf, we can find it. I know I have a link. Did I prepare for it today? No, I didn't. I didn't. Let me see if I can find a link to it because you think we'll come back to it. Where is it? It's probably on my X. Anyway, yeah, like I said, we'll come back to it. Bugging me now. I probably have a dozen emails with links to it. Okay, how dark tint is dark tint illegal, and how dark? That's from JR. I think is how you pronounce your name. The answer is it depends on the jurisdiction you're in. However, in Ontario, which is where I reside, I hail from Ontario. It is a 30% light blockage for certification, just suggesting that it's legal for the road, but that doesn't prevent you from getting tickets for obscuring the interior. So let's say you had 30% light blockage, and during daytime it was easy enough to identify the driver inside, but at nighttime you can't see inside. Well, that's illegal, and you can get a ticket for $110 for obscuring the interior of your motor vehicle with color or reflective tint. So not allowed. Obviously, reflective tint day or night, if you can't see in, you're going to get a ticket for it. But when we talk about the 30% light blockage, meaning 70% of visible light must be able to transmit through the window, if it doesn't meet that, if there's less light coming in, well, officers can pull your license plates. You can lose your plates, and that is not fun because it means you're not driving home. You're going to need to get towed, and you're going to need to get safetied and then apply for plates again, which is costly. It is not a fun thing. Brody, we talked about that. Garbo said, I could see getting a ticket for 10 or 11 over, but not 1 to 5 over. And I don't think 1 to 5 over is a legit situation. Like police officers generally won't bother you until you're 10 over. That depends on the officer. There are definitely situations where 5 kilometers over would be a reason to pull you over and talk to you, like in a 30 zone. There's no reason to speed. Like getting a ticket, maybe not. Having a conversation, discussing why we don't speed. And I don't think people really understand why speed limits were reduced. Speed limits were reduced in most major cities because in those zones, pedestrians are getting hit. And the slower you go, the better your chances of survival when it comes to pedestrian-involved collisions. If you're at 60, survival chances are reduced considerably. And Garbo, thank you for the follow. Crash Me says, hello, where do you go for driver training for double amputees? The training is set up. I actually spoke to people at the auto show about it. They do the training. There's a couple of hospitals in Toronto that do this kind of training. Once you get your vehicle set up and converted, you know what? You've inspired me or reminded me, or a combination thereof, where I need to go and talk to both the vehicle makers who convert these vehicles to make them more accessible and usable by those who need modifications made, and deep dive into the training, because I really, really want to know more, because I've had these conversations and I was looking into it for years, and nobody really knows anything. So I want to make it easier for folks who want answers to those questions. So yeah, I need to do that as a series, or at very least a video. Okay, modified vehicles. Note done. Do you recommend doing auxiliary? It's a non-paid. It's non-paid and a year locked in. I just don't want to take it. Then I don't see the rest of and then miss a full-time opportunity somewhere else. So here's the deal. Obviously, I was in auxiliary, and I was in auxiliary for 12 years. I loved every second of it. And I was a sergeant when I left the auxiliary and became a police officer. No one's going to tell you do an auxiliary gig in place of applying. If you can apply and you qualify right now for police constable, my suggestion would be go and apply to be a police constable. If you don't qualify, if you've got other things you want to do first, if you need to finish your master's, your doctorate, whatever you're studying, or it's you're not ready physically, to be a police officer because you have to physically be able to pass tests. Whatever the reason that causes delay, take advantage of the opportunity to get a taste of what policing is all about. Learn about the industry. Is it really what you want to do? Maybe auxiliary will tell you that it's not, or it'll make you fall in love with it even more. The only negative I can tell you is that if you screw up as an auxiliary, that carries with you when you go PC, or may prevent you from becoming a BC. But the year locked in, I know many people that have done it for 6 months, and then there was a call for action. They were looking for applicants. They needed people, and they will tell you they would rather have a good person do 6 months as an auxiliary despite the commitment and then transition to police constable. Now, when I was applying to become a court officer, there were people that were slated to be in my class that never even worked a day in a court because while they were going through the process, they were cherry picked and put into the police constable process, or they went through the police college, and during that time, they just want good people. And if you're a good person, you're in a good position. Okay. But in terms of, is auxiliary great? Absolutely. 100%. It's fantastic. And if you have no intentions of becoming a police officer, the auxiliary program is just as good. It's not about becoming a cop. It's about contributing to your community. Okay. Vishajit, I think is how you pronounce the name, but I don't know, so correct me if I was wrong. Hello, I have a general question. If I'm a BC driver and I come to Ontario driving my company's Ontario vehicle for business needs, do I need to keep my relationship with the company documents at all times? So you're a BC driver with an Ontario company's Ontario vehicle for business needs. Well, if you're coming here and so I guess your company has vehicles across, has offices and vehicles across the country. Generally speaking, you're authorized to drive that vehicle temporarily as an employee for work purposes. But yeah, you have to have your ownership document. You have to have the vehicle's insurance. Obviously, you need to be driving it with permission, and you need your license. Now, if you drive here and become a resident of Ontario, you have 60 days to change your driver's license. That's a different section. So let me know. I don't know enough about your situation to give you a complete answer, but I hope that gave you some help. Honda Mig says, are there any laws on drivers using high beams in the city because some love using them essentially when their headlight is out? So this is I have two headlights, but one is burnt. Thus, I use the high beams to make it appear as though I have headlights and avoid tickets. Well, there are offense. It is an offense to use your high beams in a number of circumstances, but when you are approaching oncoming vehicles at 150, I never remember this, 160 meters, 170. Oh, come on. Fail to use lower beam. So it's 60 meters behind, and it is 150. I was right the first time. I started questioning myself. Okay, 150 meters oncoming, 60 meters following. So if you fail to use your beam or use your high beams all the time, you're obviously going to be violating one of those. And those come with a wonderful $110 fine, 2 demerit points. Dave says, good morning, Sean. Could you touch on witness statements? Did one once, and when I went to court 2 years later, I got destroyed on the stand because I was very vague in my statement that I ended up writing. Dave continues to say, 1 year later, I was so descriptive, I added weather and traffic conditions and everything. Then when I went to court, I was told I was amazing. So descriptive, and thanks for my statement. Person ended up being charged. It took me learning the first time to be as descriptive as possible. Well, here's the thing. That's the police officer who asked you to write a statement. That's their fault if they didn't ask you to be as descriptive. They didn't give you clear instructions, because if you wrote down, I saw car 1 hit car 2, I would ask questions. And very rarely when I took statements did I say, here's a piece of paper, go write it down. I interviewed you. And nowadays, most cops are interviewing people on body cam or on in-car camera systems, and they'll ask you questions. Like, to just say you were there and you saw what happened doesn't help me. And notes are, in a police officer perspective, are there to refresh your independent recollection of the events that transpired. What did you see? Now, as a police officer, I'm not supposed to read my notes and say, this is what happened, and I'll read you a story, because they can read the notes themselves. It is there to refresh my memory, because when I think about it, I can see it in my mind's eye, and I tell you as though, once I remember what's going on. And you know the difference of reading a story versus remembering it and then telling it almost firsthand again. So Yes, being very descriptive is very helpful. The only thing that gets people into trouble is when they start reading their notes. So it is, again, to remind yourself. But fantastic advice, and I appreciate you sharing your story. Nav says, thank you for taking the time and coming out to the rover investiture. I used the wrong terminology. I, I was talking about it earlier, and I did not say investiture. I said something else, and it was wrong. I finally described it as a graduation of sorts, even though I know the order of operations are incorrect. But now I'm going to say investiture 2 more times, investiture, and hopefully I'll remember that for the rest of my life. Okay, I'll probably forget, but I'll make the effort. Jane says, am I in danger on a highway when I'm driving 100 to 110 kilometers in the right lane and everyone else are driving with the flow 120 to 130? Well, everybody else is breaking the law. Does that put you at risk? I mean, there is a risk when people speed. Sure. Does that mean you should speed too? No. Stay to the right, do the lawful limit. That's what you're supposed to do. And when you're in the right, it leaves lots of room for the boneheads who are breaking the law. Now, I say boneheads with love because many of them are good people who just happen to have no respect for speed laws because they don't think it is important. They've got places to go and people to see, and they are willing to risk themselves and everybody else to get there 5 seconds earlier because that's what we're talking about. You're not getting a sustained benefit. Sorry, you're not getting a real time-saving benefit unless you're doing sustained speeds over a long period of time. Even doing speeds like 150, if you're just driving a kilometer, really don't see time savings. You will get that next spot just behind or just in front of the person that was not speeding. It's silly, it's dangerous, and we should stop it. It's more thrill seeking and the mental game of feeling like you're going faster or that you're getting there sooner based on the panic of being late and looking bad and all those things. Really, what you should do and what everyone should do is plan to be there on time. And by on time, I mean early. You see, in policing, we say on time is late. Say early is on time is late is unacceptable. So what does that mean? You're better 15 minutes early than arriving on time because if you arrive on time, you're still late. You just look terrible. So plan ahead, fold your clothes, put them out or put your clothes out that you want to wear tomorrow. You put them out tonight. Save yourself a few minutes there instead of waiting till you just make it. Before the Waze app tells you there's traffic and you got to leave now. Just plan on everywhere in Toronto takes an hour. So I give myself an hour and a half. If I don't give myself an hour and a half, I've left before I've become late. I've become late before I even leave the house. And that's what it is. It's all planning to prevent these things. But I appreciate creating that conversation, Jane. I'm sure we can talk for ages about the benefits of giving yourself time to get somewhere and not speeding. But yeah, stay to the right. It is the responsibility of the driver behind you to make sure it's safe to go what they're doing. And of course, that safety doesn't include traveling above the speed limit. Corey says, my daughter's going to be 16 in September. I saw your TikTok on the new course for G1 test. Is it up yet? I'm a transport driver and not looking forward to teaching them how to drive. So 2 things. You're a professional driver, and I totally respect that. I don't want to drive an articulated vehicle like a semi, just not me. And I've driven everything. I don't want to drive that. Power to you. Now, when it comes to teaching your kids, this is teaching the book. I'm reviewing this. I'm making sure it's understandable. I'm going through some real life stories and applications of how to take what they're saying and put it to use. I'm not replacing the need for professional driver training. You deserve and your kids deserve to be taught by a professional on the road, in the car with them. Not mom, dad, cousin, Fred, not professional driver. Not only do you need them to be able to take them on the highway as a G1, you cannot let them drive on the highway, an expressway, a controlled access highway, unless they're with a professional driving instructor. But you just need to make sure you're not giving them your bad habits. And we all have bad habits, and we don't want to convey those to our children. But in addition, by taking professional driver training, you are in fact giving them a bonus of not only an insurance discount, which may be your discount, but also you get to do an 8-month G1 instead of a 12-month G1. You get to accelerate to the next level. And my goal with going through the book, because my goal is that it's not just about learning answers to 40 questions, 20 signs and 20 rules of the road to get your G1. That is not the goal. I mean, you will get that, But the goal is to actually get people to absorb some of this information, and the basics of this handbook are to the goals, the basics are to make you safer, because you can't be safe if you don't understand what everyone else's role is. Consider it like a script for how to play in the play of driving. But thank you, Corey. I appreciate both the fact that it's going to be good for them and you want them to participate, and just by asking a question, it makes the show better. Akela says, I have a hybrid with regenerative braking, no slowing down for me unless I am using the brake pedal. Well, that is interesting. The joy of the one pedal option, I think it's very awkward, but there is a one pedal driving option on Teslas, for instance. And my curiosity is, if you take your foot off the gas, does the brake light engage if regenerative braking is in effect? That's the curiosity. Or are people forced to slam on the brakes? I want to know. Just a quick scroll here. See if anything new's popped up. No. Okay. The Feisty Bunch has, we got a bunch of stuff to come. We'll come back to the Feisty Bunch. If you're caught in an intersection on yellow, turning left, will you get a ticket? So if you're caught in the intersection on yellow, which means you've entered on a green, it has turned yellow, will the red light camera ticket get you? Or will you get a red light camera ticket? Will a police officer issue you a ticket? Here's how to break this down. If you enter on a green and you're waiting to make a turn, that's a lawful move. You can do that. You can enter on a green, wait to make a left and if it goes yellow, if it goes red, you are still legal. You have an obligation to exit it. And if you cannot exit it, you are now eligible, or not just now, you failed to clear a signalized intersection. You have failed to do your duty to clear it. It means you should never have entered it if there was no reasonable expectation or hope to exit it. So could you get a ticket? Potentially. Like if you get, like, people who go straight through, it's a problem. It's in a unique situation to not be able to turn left when it goes yellow or red. Lawful, you're exiting the intersection. The problem is when you're in gridlock and you've entered when there's no clear place to go on the other side. Straight through is different. Do not enter the intersection until there is a place to have you on the other side of that intersection so you can clear it before it turns red. But if you're turning left, you're safe to do so. No ticket's going to happen, and no red light ticket would happen either. Entering on the yellow, possibly, maybe depending on the observations of an officer, you could get ticketed for that. Yellow means stop unless it's unsafe to not stop. Sorry, it's unsafe to. If it's unsafe to stop, it would be lawful to proceed with caution. But if it was reasonable, for instance, if you're approaching a solid green that's stale, you should be expecting to see an amber. You should be traveling at the reasonable speed, the speed limit, and you should have more than enough time when it goes green to yellow to stop. But if you were past the point of no return, you'd obviously be legitimate to cross through. It's the hitting the gas to get through, in a hurry, that is the problem. Here we go. JJM says or asks, why did you leave policing? I left for family reasons. Family first. Family needs me, and I need to be close to home to help them. So it was a crossroads for me. I was turning 50, and for those who understand how our pension systems work, 50 is a line in the sand. So if I waited till I was 50, it would have changed things for me financially, and I decided to make the move before I turned 50. It was purely family driven. I love the police. The police and I have a great relationship. We still do. I will help and do things for them forever because I believe in the mission and I want to continue to contribute. I was working with them for the auto show. I was helping out. I'm not getting paid anymore, but I was still helping out. So I'm still part of the family. Although I guess now I'm like extended family. Let's see here. Is dark tint legal or is there a gray area? We talked about it already. Jefe Sosa, I don't know if I pronounced your username right. How do you become a cop? Well, first of all, you check the requirements, you then apply. Tim Clark, thanks for the follow. Cooper Q Win says, I answered. Okay. So he asked the same question twice, but then he added opportunity as in shuttle run stage. Don't know what you mean by that. Nazir says, hi, I have a court date for speeding. Ticket is 2 hours away. Should I attend or can I call? I would call ahead of time and find out if you can do it by Zoom. 2 hours of driving is a whole lot to invest when many courts are making available the opportunity to testify and appear remotely. It's changed the game. COVID changed the game for courts. You can also hire an agent to go on your behalf. You can hire a local agent who can appear on your behalf, depending on what you want to do. But that costs money. But then again, so does 2 hours each way of your life, which might be cheaper to just pay someone to do it. And of course, if you want to, if you, well, anyway, talk to someone who's an agent. HD Suprafly says, "What's the fine if you don't have your license but the passenger has theirs?" What do you mean? You don't have your license on you, or you do not have a license? So if you don't have a license to drive or a learner's permit to operate, there's a couple of things. So if you don't have a license at all, it's a $360 roughly ticket, and you're not covered by insurance, and you shouldn't be driving the car, so you won't be driving the car home. If you do have a license but you forgot it at home, it's a fail to surrender license charge to a police officer upon demand, $110 fine. If you're a G1 driver, that's someone with a learner's permit. They have to be supervised by a passenger who has their license, a full G with 4 years experience, to avoid a ticket for drive or G1 drive unaccompanied. And that has other things. You can get a suspension, or you would get a suspension on conviction for 30 days if it's your first time, 90 days on a subsequent one. So it depends. But if you don't have a license at all and you're driving, there's no defense because the passenger supervising you is meaningless. In fact, if it was their car, I would probably charge them for allowing someone who doesn't have a license to operate a motor vehicle on a highway. I would charge them too. Let's see here. Cooper says, "Thanks a lot for the response. Appreciate it a lot. My pleasure. If you got more questions, let me know." Feisty Bunch says, "Since you retired from TPS," boy, I mentioned you like 10 minutes ago, more. "Since you retired from TPS, everyone has different opinions. Who would you vote for?" So, Bubba, what do you mean? Who would I vote for the election? Oh, wow. Now you're going to get all these Canada's federal election warnings popping up on the live stream because their AI monitors for this conversation to direct you. I'm talking about TikTok in particular, to direct you to an information page, which really just goes to show you how awesome TikTok is. I'm a big fan. And the fact that they want to prevent any kind of misinformation being spewed by people online. So who would I vote for? I'm a pro-police person. I believe in jail, not bail. I want our streets to be safer, and I'm not seeing. I think one party is responsible for things getting worse, and I think it's time for a change. That's my personal opinion, obviously. And now that I'm not with any police agency, I can share that. Ethan says, "Sean, I love driving." Ethan, I totally agree. I love driving too. In fact, I can't imagine life without a driver's license, which so many people in this wonderful world have managed to survive without. But I don't know how people do that. Safe driver, Scott Marshall, my good friend, how you doing? So Scott Marshall, who is the Safe Driver, you should check him out on all platforms. He's either at Safe Driver or the Safe Driver, depending on the platform, and he is in fact the safest driver. He is the former head of a major driving school chain who taught people to be driving instructors. He's a former judge from Canada's Worst Driver. So if you find reruns, you're probably looking at Scott. And we need to get together and have a sandwich, but for me with no bread, because I'm not eating carbs anymore. It's finished. I'm done with bread. But I miss you, my friend. It's been a long time. Anytime you want to jump on the show, you let me know. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I'm 10 a.m. And then if you want to come into a late night session, you can even bring a wobbly pop, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Let me know. Official Brush says, to follow up on row and intersection row turning left and right with two vehicles. We talked about this earlier, and it was the concept of oncoming. Oh, what is this? To follow up on row in an intersection, row turning left and right with two vehicles. I'm still not picking up what you're putting down. So I think I thought I answered this already, but now I'm more confused than I was before. So if oncoming traffic, if we've got north and south meeting in the middle, and they both want to turn to go in the same direction, in this case, we'll say right for northbound and left for southbound. The one who's turning right has priority over the one that's turning left across a live lane of traffic. Can I do a California stop if I'm from California? Fantastic question. The answer is no. California stop is where you do not stop. You simply drive through it. No, you can't do that. It's against law. I had a great video of it yesterday that I aired, and maybe I should put that on now. Yeah, let's do that. If I press this, what happens? We'll hit video. And we'll reduce the sound, but here we go.
Finally warm enough for a little bit of will they stop at the four-way stop sign.
That's a California stop.
They're in a hurry. Next up at the four-way stop. Will they stop? Wow. No, not even close. It was a slowdown. My own little personal study of human behavior. Will they stop? Four-way stop sign. Not
That's
even
horrendous.
close.
I would have ticketed every single one of these cars.
Oh, it's a neighbor of mine.
Oh, I broke it.
There's another one. See if we can get her stop. Get her stop. Yeah. Oh, it's a Jersey roll. That's a nice job. Well done. Oh. Is it? Oh my.
Yeah, so these are just ridiculous examples, and I imagine that's not scripted. I imagine that is very much how they drive every single day. Not a care in the world or a concept of safe driving amongst them. Like, just ridiculous. And why? Because there's no automated enforcement or a police officer stopping people, or they haven't been stopped yet, and they really should be stopped. Those people should all have big old tickets. Maybe we need to get to the point where it's not just a ticket, but it's a suspension, because how do we get people to be safer? You have to hammer them, because apparently education doesn't always work. I am the education. Police officers are education with enforcement or through enforcement. But yeah, that's just disgusting. Van wants to know if putting a 6-inch lift kit in a vehicle is legal. Generally speaking, about 3 inches is the max for the road. You wouldn't be able to certify a 6-inch lift kit in most cases. Talk to a trusted mechanic to find out exactly what you could do, or go online. I've got links to it at trafficcop.ca. It's the light truck and passenger vehicle inspection guide. It is what mechanics have to go by in order to certify you. It's what the MTO and police officers will look at when looking to determine if your vehicle is safe for the road. But you couldn't sell a vehicle with a 6-inch lift. You'd have to revert it back to, like, and are we talking about a proper lift, or is it a body kit to lift the body off the frame? It all depends. I am not a mechanic, but I can tell you that it's all in that book and that document, which is free to download. You can also look specifically in the lighting standards, because there is a maximum and minimum distance from the ground your headlights must be. If you're outside of that, you're in violation. The vehicle's not safe for the road. Andre 3000 says, on an intersection with traffic lights, who has the right of way? Right turn or left turn? We talked about that earlier. Generally speaking, left turn does not have the right of way. It has to ensure, because it has the most responsibility, because it's crossing a live lane of traffic. Railroader says, I pilled out a cop car last weekend. Poor guy was stuck, but forgot to ask him if he was impaired. Pulled. What? You pulled out a cop car. You want to know if the police officer was impaired? I see you corrected the pill to pulled, but I got you. I don't know what to tell you. My partner is planning on getting his full G. When is the best time of the year to do the road test? I mean, obviously, when it's not snowing is going to be easier for you, but it's when they're ready. You do it when they're ready. People do all sorts of games to pass that test. They go to Peterborough to avoid city traffic. City tests are going to be harder because there's more going on. But is it a good idea? I think you should have to do a test in the city to drive in the city. I don't think people who have never driven in a community or an infrastructure like Toronto should be able to drive in the city without a specific test, because it's different and people get some serious anxiety about it. Darth Vader wants to become a cop in Toronto or in Ontario. Any tips? I don't have a degree. A degree is not required. It never has been required, although they wanted to make it. And temporarily, I think they posted up and said you needed one, or it would be a benefit. The fact is, when you are competing for when you're competing for a role, the better an applicant you are, the better you fare in the competition, right? But there's different ways to be better. Volunteering, languages, life experience, all are good. So don't worry about your degree. Worry about passing all the basics and try it. And then if you don't succeed, figure out where you can improve and try again. Damien says, Sean, how are we today? We are doing well, Damien. He goes on to say how you're enjoying retirement. I've never worked so hard in my life. And, I'm in a startup process. I've launched Better Traffic. It's the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and education with a goal of changing the way we educate and interact on traffic safety across the country. We want to help police agencies and government agencies communicate better, use this platform for good. And I'm working at it. And I've got the help of a few wonderful sponsors, and we're looking for more. So if you know companies that believe in traffic safety and want to help us do what we're doing, tell them to give me a ring. Okay. All right. So official brush, we seem to have got it. Elizabeth says, do you like the cadet program? The cadet program with which one? Like cadets, the military cadets, cadets with police agencies, because there are both. Toronto Police doesn't have a cadet program. However, Halton does. They hire people on basically a full-time job. They have a year or more to do some jobs, get an idea of what policing is all about. And I think they have 1 or 2 years to then get themselves to the standards to then apply for the police role, and you're an internal employee at that point already. It's really, I think, a great program. If you're talking about cadets, I don't have a lot of direct experience with the cadet program. However, I think it's fantastic to put kids in a situation to learn about doing good things, volunteering, getting opportunities to work within an infrastructure where you have rules. I think it's really important. So I think the cadet program for kids is also awesome. Bonzi, who is, of course, someone with extremely high intellect, says, well, here, I'll just put it on the screen so you can see it and you can be as impressed with their statement as I am. Yeah, Bonzi, spelled just that way, says, glad I have plate flippers. They can't spell, but they said played, but meant plate flippers, and don't stop for police. So they're alleging that when they are breaking the law, they are displaying a plate from, well, not their vehicle. There's a lot of dum-dums like this around, and their goal is to be lawless, not to follow rules, obviously to perform in such ways that they put themselves and others in risk, and then they don't want to get caught because they're not grown up, so they run, or they disguise themselves with plate flippers, and then still run. Brody Crampton says, what does this motor vehicle ticket mean? Failed to ensure. Where have you been, Brody? We talked about this like a half an hour or 45 minutes ago. It's a commercial motor vehicle standards ticket. It applies to commercial motor vehicles and the trailers they are towing. And I don't have more for you than that. It's section 107 sub 3 of the Highway Traffic Act. I know that because I looked it up when I talked about it a half an hour ago. If you look it up online, you can actually pull up the Highway Traffic Act and the what am I thinking of? He says, thanks, sorry. No problem. I'm not upset. I'm just making fun of you. It's different. It's not a bad way. But I was going to say, first of all, if you go to YouTube, you can watch the replay of this entire episode. But the whole goal is to find out what it really means. So I had made a note of it because I want to talk to my friends in the commercial motor vehicle section that handle enforcement of this stuff. I'm going to go look into it. So if you come back in future dates, I might have more information depending on when I can actually connect with someone. One of them just starts work tomorrow. He's not even back in the office yet. But there's tons of people who know stuff and things about this, and I do aim to get you a proper answer. And Brody, thank you for following. Mike Harrington, thank you for joining the live, although a little late because we just hit the 1 hour mark. I am going to start winding down the show. And what does that mean? I did 3 hours last night. We started at 9 p.m. and, well, finished just under 3 hours later. We do that on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the late night show. And then we have the daytime show, a 1 hour, which sometimes goes long. And we're officially 30 seconds into that second hour now. Why do I bring this up? Well, because if you've got questions and you don't get them answered today, come back tomorrow. We do this 5 days a week. I keep saying we, it's only me at the moment. Well, and Logan Grant from Brooks, Alberta, who jumps in for the night lives, the after dark episodes. Mac X5 says, thank you, appreciate you. You're most welcome. I appreciate you too. I'm glad you're coming in and participating. It's great. The goal is to help. So if you got questions, I tend to have answers. And if I don't have the answer, we will work on it. But I have a meeting that starts in 15 minutes, so I do have to wrap up. I just remembered as my meeting alarm just went off. Let me get into some dad jokes because and Nicholas Rizzi, my apologies. I did not intend to ignore you, but things got away from me. So let's say, so first off, acknowledging Brandon, who says, good afternoon, Sean, let's have a safe and amazing day. He is in Scotland right now and is still consistent. He travels the world and still finds time to join the show. and he's a chef who does cool things, but he's involved with a family wedding today, I think, which he may be catering as well. Either way, I appreciate you, and I'm apologetic about the fact that I didn't acknowledge you earlier. Nicholas Rizzi, who typed the book here, actually has got a couple of different chapters. Why does Google have Street View but not Train Track View? I'm a very curious bunny, and I want to know where all the train tracks are around my area, or where they lead to. I hear you. I bet you that there is a way to find that information. I mean, they're on maps, but interesting that Google would be the one you want to do. Probably because they don't have train cars with that camera rig that goes on the roof. All right. Nicholas Rizzi says, is it true that you have to hand in your license after you suffer from a heart attack? Because if you don't, your insurance will be unaffordable? Because insurance believes if you've suffered one heart attack, you are more likely to suffer another one, possibly while driving. I think you're confusing the insurance potential issue with the medical suspension. If a doctor says you cannot drive for a period of time, they will suspend you medically. And then if they are willing to revoke it, if you're now well enough to not lose consciousness and become a risk to others, then that's up to them. They could revoke that, and you can go get your license back. Very often they don't suspend your license, and then only if it becomes an issue. It really depends on your medical practitioner. Okay. Joanne says, when will the G1 videos start? Here on YouTube, can't find them. They're not up yet. I'm recording the first one. Hopefully have it finished recording today, at which point I'll edit it and have it up for Friday. That's the goal. But I want to have one a week. If I can do 2 a week, I will. But I'm breaking down the entire driver's handbook, page by page, section by section, and I want to make them into 15-minute bite-sized pieces. But the first one will be up at the end of the week. And we talked about that. And Kayla, yes, it was a scouting event. Okay, here's a Nicholas Rizzi dad joke flagging it. We've got a Kayla Draconis dad joke, a Star Wars dad joke, a quote from Kayla. Okay, and there's a suggestion for steak and salad at Oscars. That's possible. I might be able to make that happen. And okay, so on the Tuesday and Thursday late night show, I call it Ask a Traffic Cop After Dark, and Nicholas says, although I disagree, he says After Dark needs more skin. You're not the first person who suggested that the title makes it sound naughty. It is not naughty. It is simply a factual representation of the outside lighting, which is it's dark. Okay, we have, I think this was from Bernhard, who writes the following. Have you heard about the chocolate record player? It sounds pretty sweet. You've had better, but I'll take it. Okay. Dad joke from Nicholas Rizzi. I tried to buy the movie Fight Club at Best Buy, but the clerk wouldn't sell it to me because he broke the first two. Oh, because I broke the first 2 rules about Fight Club. I don't know if I like that one. Did you write that one? Is it yours? Maybe it was in the telling. I tried to buy the movie Fight Club at Best Buy, but the clerk wouldn't sell it to me because I broke the first 2 rules of Fight Club, which is we don't talk about Fight Club. What's the other rule about Fight Club? I screwed it up, or you screwed it up, or it's a combination of just bad joke. Okay. What did one pickle say to the other? You mean a great deal to me. I like that one. And we're a house that appreciates pickles. Just saying. Is it a new dill or an old dill? Is it a garlic? Which way do you go when it comes to pickles? All right, Star Wars dad joke. Did you know Rey didn't have any training in scavenging? Did you know Rey didn't have any training in scavenging? She just picked it up as she went along. Star Wars ones seem contrived at times, or you really, really have to know about Star Wars. I mean, that one just seemed like a rebranded one, but it wasn't terrible. Akela says, this is a quote from Richard Lamb. Christmas is a time when kids tell Santa what they want and adults pay for it. Deficits are a time when adults tell the government what they want and their kids pay for it. That is absolutely true. Very accurate, and I appreciate it. That was a good one. Very timely. If you buy a new car, this is now, just because there's 3 more questions here, I'm going to hit them and then we're going away. Then we're saying goodbye and we're going to come back tomorrow. Hi, if you buy a new car and process transfer of old plates, can you drive the new car with old plate? So if you buy a new car and you have plates from another vehicle, plates that are attached to another vehicle, you cannot use your old plates. If you have plates that are unassigned, you've removed them from your previous vehicle, you can, in fact, with a new car purchase, drive with the plates not yet affixed to your car. They have to be physically affixed to the car, but you don't have to have them transferred until you get to the ministry. So you want to drive, you have up to 3 days, I believe. But that's like the only time. So if you can't take them off your Honda Civic to put them onto your new Ford Bronco. You can, however, sell your your Honda Civic, take your plates, put them onto the Ford Bronco, drive to the Ministry of Transportation. Assuming you already have insurance, you must have insurance for the vehicle, not from the old vehicle. Hope that's clear. MJ says, great job. Thank you, Sean. Keep our roads safe. That's the plan. Thank you for the thank you. We have one more dad joke that Official Brush says, breaking news, a cheese factory exploded, debris everywhere. That might be my favorite today. I'm in a cheese mode. I bought a kilo of feta. I bought a big thing of shaved Parmesan, and I bought 2 bags of shredded mozzarella. This was where I shouldn't be allowed to go into Costco and be on a no-carb diet, where I ended up buying stuff that I like to go on eggs. Can I smoke in my car with no ignition or key inside while being on my driveway? I go back home. Do you mean smoke drugs like marijuana? No, you cannot be in a car even without the keys. You're not permitted to smoke marijuana inside of a motor vehicle, regardless of its ignition system. You can't drink alcohol in a motor vehicle, regardless of whether or not the key's in the ignition. Now, or if you have it, like if you had no way of starting the car, like there was no engine or the keys were with somebody else, and you couldn't consume it inside the vehicle, but you could be drunk inside the vehicle as long as there was no way at all for you to start the car or even change your mind. Like you couldn't have the keys in the house to be able to go in the house to go get the keys and come back out. So it's a pretty serious situation. Denny says, thank you. You're very welcome. Pro Holler joined. And DJ says, I can't have a beer while working on my car. It's crazy. You can have a beer. Well, no, I was going to say you could have a beer working on your car, not sitting in your car. But technically speaking, like if your car was dismantled, you couldn't put it together because you had a. There's a possibility, like if it's up on a hoist, it's a different. That becomes an argument for court, and I don't have a good answer for you. But ideally, don't drink and touch cars. Akela says sour kosher pickles, mainly Strubs. That's his vote. Highway Motor 6, what's going on? Hi, Sean. Section 107.3 is an operator's charge. The vehicle probably failed roadside inspection for defects. Thank you, Highway Motor 6. But that is interesting. But the question is, what defects would be the trigger? I guess it's any gross defect. That's the 107.3 we were talking about earlier when Brody Crampton wanted to know what it meant. But I'm assuming you were there. If you were there, they should have told you what failed and why you were given that ticket. Thank you very much, Highway Motor 6. What a good username. All right. Akela Draconis says, stay safe and remember, don't have a good day, have a great day. Those are wise words. And with those wise words, we shall say, see you later. I'm going to go have a meeting, which starts in 6 minutes. And I hope you have a safe day, a fun day, a magical day. Smile because it makes your day go better and you look good doing it. And tell the people you care about that you care about them because that's important. Just, good stuff. Drive safe, drive sober, park legally, or Aaron Urquhart will hunt you down. Just saying. Have a good one. That's it. It's over, at least for today. Until tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Ask a